The final stop of the West Coast swing, and it belongs to one of the old souls on the PGA Tour, the Riviera Country Club. Built in 1926, this George C. Thomas layout has been hosting the PGA Tour and the world's best for over 60 years. Scotty Scheffler coming in on a heater, 18 consecutive top 10s. He's tied with Tiger Woods, one more top 10, and he will have the record all to himself. He is on site and getting ready for the week. Golf Channel and the PGA Tour proudly present On the Range. Presented by ReliaQuest. And live Wednesday coverage from the Genesis Invitational. And how good it is to be back at the Riviera Country Club here in the Pacific Palisades, just miles from downtown Los Angeles, only a mile from the Pacific Ocean, on a layout so noteworthy that the great Alistair McKenzie remarked, it was as nearly perfect as a man could make it. And the field is loaded. 72 players, 27 of the top 30 in the world, and all of the top 10 are here this week. So glad to have your company, Ned Michaels, alongside Billy Kratzer and Carl Paulson. Amelia Duran will be down on the range for us. And Billy, we're just watching Scotty get loose, but it's a historic venue, and what Scotty has been able to stitch together over the past several seasons, now a 20-time winner on tour, also historic.
Absolutely, and boy, who's going to slow this train down? I don't see anyone slowing him down. In rule number one, and when you look at the top two players, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, there's a bigger separation there than what the numbers would indicate. And he just, when he gets on property, he just feels like he's going to win every single week. He's so competitive, and it shows. I mean, he's just not going to give up, and we saw it last week.
And Carl, Phil, just stopped spotting 10 shots to the field like he has the last couple of weeks.
I was going to say, the 18 top 10s have come with some peril the last couple of weeks. Of course, getting off to a two over par start a couple of weeks ago at WM, and even par last week, but came roaring back. You know, it's interesting with such a historic golf course and Scotty going for history with these top 10s in his play. And Scotty really doesn't care about the history of the game. He just wants to get a little bit better each and every day, and it kind of takes his mind away from all of the things around him. But it is tough. This is a tough place to not smell the roses and enjoy yourself, because it is a beautiful property.
Always under the watchful eye of Teddy Scott, haven't they made a prolific pairing, the two of them? And welcome in to the studio as we get set for Wednesday, getting all the last-minute preparations in place. Welcome, and so glad to have you with us. Ned Michaels, Billy Kratzer, Carl Paulson here in the studio. Billy, we talked about the history of this place, but when you show up there, you can feel it. To win here is a little bit extra, a little special.
Yeah. We've spoken about it. We've addressed it. When you put cleats on property, there's just another feeling, and I'm interested to see how the course is going to play. I think it's in probably one of the best shapes it's been in over the past years. You look at the Kikuyu fairways and rough, then you have the Poana greens, but the presentation of the golf course is really special. The only thing we have to judge is the weather.
Well, we're going to, fingers crossed, not get some rain. We're supposed to get an inch of it tomorrow. Carl, how's that going to affect the play and how these players prepare today?
Well, it's going to have a big effect on the golf course and the players, because they've already had 2.1 inches of rain prior to today. If you add another inch to that, We're talking 3 inches of rain, might even have ball in hand first round if they get that inch of rain, or they're expecting that inch of rain. But I'm interested to see how the rough's going to play, because if you don't get the ball in the fairway around here when it's dry, it's difficult, much less trying to get a club through that salad of Kikuyu that's wet.
And if you look historically, the years where there has been substantial rain, it yields to the long hitters, the J.B. Holmes,
Sure.
the Dustin Johnsons of the tour. Slide out to the range for some live action. There's Jason Day getting his preparation going. He had a terrific event out in the desert of California just a couple of weeks ago at the American Express Championship, where he finished tied for second. And it's been an off-season of changes and tweaks where he actually experimented with new irons. He had a company come in and 3D print plastic heads, and he experimented with how they looked. They tweaked it how they want. They went and made them in the factory, and he's put them into play.
Yeah, I like what he's doing here, working on the ball position, you're working on the fundamentals. When these guys see progress, they players like Jason Day, they understand that progress is not going to be swift and easy. It's going to take some time, and then you go back to the fundamentals. And it's kind of what Jason's doing right here with the ball position. The only way you're going to have the proper alignment is if the ball's positioned correctly, and you look at the posture. And I can't say enough about the fundamentals because, Carl, when you look at the fundamentals, they're the wick in the candle. And if you don't have the fundamentals, I mean, it's hard to shine bright.
There's no doubt about it. And I would say somewhere between 65 and 75% of the practice that these guys do on a daily basis is working on their fundamentals. That's grip, stance, posture, alignment. If you are consistent with those, you're going to be a lot more consistent with your ball flight, trying to hit what type of window you're trying to hit. And Jason obviously working hard on his stance and ball position there. And I don't know why they're called fundamentals, though. They're not very fun to work on.
Right. Why can't I get my 17-year-old son to do these?
The fun can sometimes be mental.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, you talk about the grip. Yeah, I mean, look at Scotty Scheffler. I mean, he has the club with the molded grip, and he uses it, kind of touches it every day.
Sliding down the range. And it's got that old school range feel to it, doesn't it? It's kind of compact in there, and you get the big nets around it because, well, we're not far from downtown Los Angeles, 170-plus acres here as Xander takes a look at his action.
Yeah, this driving range is smack dab in the middle of the golf course, too. You got to the left of your screen, you got the second hole coming back up towards the camera, and over there to the right, you've got a few holes on the back nine as well, so... The net's a little bit of a protector, Billy, especially as far as these guys hit it now. Yeah. You and I would have been fine back in the day. That net was totally fine.
I didn't always make it down that hill to get to the range to warm up, knowing that I had to go back up
the hill
to tee off number one. But, yeah, on that right-hand side, you have the 11th hole, the par 5, that borders.
When they originally built the golf course, 1926. This was actually a little par 3 layout, short course, the driving range was. A couple years into it, they decided, of course, they didn't have a driving range, so they needed one. Here we are. Xander hasn't seemed all that pleased with his iron play. He's been somewhat vocal about it. Anything, Carl, that jumps out to you?
No, I think that he's still just knocking some rust off. They had their child at the very end of last year, and he didn't do much practicing before the Ryder Cup. He was very pleased at how he played at the Ryder Cup for as little as he'd been working on his game. Of course, wins over at Zozo, and that sort of saved his season. It wasn't a great season for Xander, and that sort of saved his season. I'm expecting a huge year from Xander this year. It hadn't happened yet, obviously, breaking that cut streak at the Farmers, but I've got a feeling he's going to go off here sometime pretty soon.
Yeah, and, when you look at what he's done, saving the season like he did, you think it's going to be kind of a carryover. Austin kind of checking and making sure the positions are right, but he's one guy I don't worry about because he can kind of clean things up or he can clean mistakes up with a short game, which is why it was so surprising that he missed the cut at Farmers, because it was the short game that cost him on the 35th hole or 34th hole and ended up missing the cut. But
yeah,
it's always been a simple motion.
And mentally, I think he's very good at compartmentalizing what's going on around him. He's okay with having a 2 or a 3 week stretch where he's not performing up to his capabilities or his expectations, and sort of just kind of brushes it off.
It's nice to have Teflon shoulders where it just falls off.
So while they study the positions of the golf swing, why don't we take a look at some of the notable groupings from the first round? J.J. Spawn, who was getting loose over there next to Xander, playing alongside the defending champion Ludvig Aberg, and the man who last won here at Riviera, Hideki Matsuyama. That's 11:56. Billy, what jumps out to you here?
Well, Collin Morikawa winning last week. Of course, Fleetwood winning last year for the first time. And then Rory, obviously, wanting to kind of get back in form. Made a few mistakes last week at Pebble Beach. It's not, he started his year on the PGA Tour last week, but he's played several times. So it was a little odd to see Rory make some of the mistakes that he made. And then I look at Gotterup and Rose. I mean, talk about a stack. Pairings, players in the field. I mean, this is unbelievably good.
That is the just grinded out tee time right there at 225. I got my eye on 1208, Ned. I just think that all three of these players are primed and ready to go. Of course, Collin Morikawa finally getting in the winner's circle after 27 months last week at Pebble. Tommy Fleetwood just coming out for his first event in 2026 and shooting a cool 20 under par. And Rory McIlroy, of course, we know that he had just started his season as well, but it's going to be a fun group to watch.
And 249, Minwoo Lee, who had it rolling last week. And Daniel Berger going out with 13-time winner Jordan Spieth. Last win came the RBC Heritage 21-22 season. Might this be time for Jordan to get his hands back on the hardware? 32-year-old Jordan Spieth getting his reps in on a Wednesday. Mixed motley crew kind of finishes around here at the Riviera Country Club. He's played here 13 times, seen the weekend 9. Couple of top 10s, but the last time was back in 2018. And Billy, still a lot of fidgeting going on.
Well, he's trying to create a feel. And, you know, we see that kind of move. In fact, Tony Finau, he'll kind of reroute it a little bit. Jordan, he'll drop it down in a little bit of a reroute. It's just all kind of a feel. You know, all these guys are trying to capture the swing path coming from the inside and then squaring it up with the body when they strike the ball.
We'll see it a little bit later in the show, but a lot of these guys have like a practice routine, a rehearsal, so to speak. And then their golf swing goes nowhere near where the club is in their rehearsal. it is totally them just trying to get a feel of moving a tenth of an inch.
So much for the days of Tom Watson, who said he had the same swing feel for 30 years. Let's take a deeper look at some of Jordan's actions.
Now, obviously, the first thing that we're going to look at is the strange grip with the index finger on the left hand, which doesn't wrap around the club. And as we start this club back, stays in one piece. You see the triangle between his two shoulders and his hand stay in one piece for a good 2 feet before the wrists start breaking down. Huge shoulder turn. You can pretty much say that about anybody on tour.
That's amazing right there. When you start putting, okay, you look at the grip, it's a weak left grip, but then you look at the toe hang of the club at the top. I mean, usually you would kind of think that it would be more of the face pointing towards the sky, but
that's a very open club face for as weak of a left hand as he has on his grip. But as he starts down, you'll see his head dive down into it a little bit. That is so he can use the ground to push up off of and create a bunch of speed. Pretty good there at impact. And as we see with most tour players, from the left shoulder to the golf ball is a straight line at impact. What's interesting is right after impact, Billy, that left arm just folds up in chicken wings right there. Look at him. Normally you see the right hand take over the left and the left hand stay straight. He just kind of chicken wings it out and keeps that club face very square.
Yeah, and he was able to reach number 1 in the world. Lee Westwood was able to reach number 1 in the world. They kind of had the same motion going through the shot. Lee Westwood also had that chicken wing. But the footwork is amazing.
Yeah.
It looks pretty calm on the backswing, but then on the downswing, just as much as he rolls into that ankle.
Yeah, keep an eye on his left foot when he's at the end of his swing. He has got a ton of flexibility in that left ankle. Otherwise, it would just snap. I mean, he's in the heel, which is where you want to be because your left hip's going behind you, so it's going to pull you into the heel on the lead side. But he rolls over on that left ankle pretty. Look at that.
And he's done it his whole career. And you're not going to change the DNA of that. And you know, when he came out on tour and you started looking at 2015, 2017, he was top 2 iron player in the world.
This is his right foot here in the swing. Now watch how it rolls towards the target, the whole foot before the heel comes up. That is, you'll see that in 99% of the tour players.
Correct. And there's the left foot that you're talking about.
Look at that.
I mean, right on the outside of it.
Well, what doctor are we going to if we're in that position?
Me.
The one
They
that's
need a little
nearest by.
assistance trying to get there. But it's amazing because I think Jordan has done such a good job of becoming a good driver of the golf ball because he has plenty of length.
What does Jordan need to do now? Injuries behind him. He's obviously working a lot on his golf swing. I feel like he needs to get back into playing the golf course and not golf swing.
Yeah, I think, I'm going to say the same thing in a different way. He needs to play golf shots.
There you go.
Not golf swing. Because he's always been imaginative and creative on the golf course. And that was one of his greatest assets.
Absolutely.
So as Cameron McCormick and Jordan Spieth try to figure it out, get the positions just right, let's throw it down to the fourth member of our broadcast group, Amelia Duran, who is down with Jason Day.
Thanks, guys. Jason, when you were runner-up at the American Express, you talked about your driver in 3-wood feeling good and still needing to work on the 5-6 irons. How do the feels feel today after the range session?
I actually hit my irons pretty poorly last week, and I think it was more technical for me. My hands were a little bit high at impact. A number of things have caused that, obviously, and then I just felt like when your hands get high, your upper body gets high through impact. The club likes to dip back in. So I was seeing a lot of 2 to 4 inside last week with like majority of my clubs, and then I don't like seeing it go right too much. And then I tried to hit more of the back of the ball, and then obviously the arm started getting high. So then I started hitting it fat and hooking. So, I mean, I'm just trying to get my hands a little bit lower through impact, a little bit deeper around me on the way back, and then hopefully that sets up for a little bit better position coming down.
When you're working on those kinds of positioning, how do you compartmentalize that to then translating that to competitive round?
Well, I mean, it needs to be done. Unfortunately, I don't feel like, I feel like I can compete just by missing it in the correct locations last week to a certain degree, but I couldn't fully let it go because obviously I had this left miss and it was just awful. So it needs to be done, and I need to work on it, make sure that things are kind of heading back to where they need to be. That way it's easier for me to kind of start the shot online and keep the shot online for a lot longer than what I was last week, and I feel like everything's progressing nicely.
Well, I'm glad it is. Thanks for the time, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Cheers.
Carl, there was a lot in there. All obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious to maybe the top 50 teachers in the world, not us mortals. But look, every player has their own feels, like Billy said, and all they're trying to do is relate whatever they're feeling to the ball. Which way is it dropping? How high is it going? The window that it's exiting from, and that it's coming out of the air from. That's all they care about.
Yeah, you could probably get away with your hands being high with the driver because it's a different swing because you are kind of forcing up a little bit more. But if the handle gets high, the grip gets high through impact with an iron, you're in for a long week. I mean, because you're counting, you're basically counting it, or you're flipping it at the right millisecond.
Mm-hmm.
Not in this man's golf swing, that's for sure. The reigning FedEx Cup champion, Tommy Fleetwood, who comes in dating back to last season on 19 consecutive rounds in the 60s. He has been phenomenal. Tied for fourth last week, closed with a 66 at Pebble Beach in those trying conditions.
Well, we often look at this golf swing and we talk about the simplicity that he possesses.
Well, it's pretty obvious why he is playing good golf, because this golf swing, as you mentioned, no wasted movement. Look at him. He's out there just figuring how far the ball's going. He doesn't have any contraptions, no gadgets, no nothing. He is just ready to rock and roll. And that's what those launch monitors are for, just to tell these guys exactly how far the ball is going. Interestingly, he kind of chokes up on it. There are a few players on tour that do that. He's just more comfortable with his hand size on the grip, about halfway down, but everything is perfectly square. His feet, knees, hips, and shoulders.
How that club head stays outside the hands on the way back. Put it in the proper position right there.
And I'm going to circle this club face up here at the top of this swing right here, because it is a lot different than we saw just a few moments ago from Jordan Spieth. That face is much more closed. It's going to mirror the back of his left hand a lot more than Jordan's does. But really straight left arm there, but look at this thing drop down into the slot, Billy.
Yeah. And now watch the shaft match up with the right forearm right there. I mean, then you can just deliver it with as much speed, arm speed, shoulder speed, chest speed that you want.
And that could be a brick wall to his left, and he'd knock it down. I mean, that's as solid as you can get.
Yeah, there is no hang back in that golf swing at all. And I like the way, when I see a player grip down on the club like that, they always have control of the golf ball and the club. You know, it never gets lost behind them, behind the right pocket somewhere.
Yeah.
It's always kind of right there, and it seems like they always have just wonderful control.
And generally, players that do that have pretty short backswings. And I don't know what that connection is. I choked up on it a lot when I was in my playing days, but it had to do with my hand size. I wore a small glove, and the grip I felt was too big at the top. You can't get small enough grips at the butt of the grip, and it just felt more comfortable about an inch down on the shaft. So
Tommy's gotten better every year that he's teed it up. And the Genesis Invitational's first time here back in 2018, he finished 37th. He finished 10th here in 24, and then last year, of course, we were up at Torrey Pines. He finished tied for 5th, but the progression is trending if you're a Fleetwood fan.
And he has kind of a little practice routine where he'll sometimes just stop it at the top, kind of get the feel, and then he'll go ahead and make a swing. A lot of times he'll do that in practice just to create that feel.
man, that is
that
really sexy right there.
Let me see. 288 carry. Okay.
Just a little chip fade.
Yeah.
Practicing his tee shot for the 12th, maybe.
Maybe.
Max Homa knows his way around this track. He's a past champion. 12 under he shot back in 2021. Welcome back to On the Range, presented by ReliaQuest. We are live at the Riviera Country Club for the Genesis Invitational, a look at the Spanish Revival-style clubhouse that was opened in 1928, a couple of years after the golf course opened. It's a golf course that has certainly stood the test of time Think about the U.S. Open in 1948. Played over 7,000 yards. And who better to delve a little deeper into that than Tiger Woods?
Well, I think the layout. Well, granted, they've moved some tees back. Like the 12th tee is nowhere near what it used to be. The 8th hole is nowhere what it used to be. They've moved a few things back here and there. But what has stood the test of time is that iconic first tee shot. That hasn't gone anywhere. We've always played in front of the clubhouse. It's very similar to me. It's similar to the first tee shot at St. Andrews. It's always been in the same spot. And so when you go back through the test of time, and you look at all the photos, and you go back 100 years, you're going to see the same tee shot right in front of the clubhouse. There's nowhere to go. And I think that the classicness of the golf course, the bunkering, the subtleness, the green complexes out here, how small they are, how subtle they are. And unfortunately, it's wet right now, but when it dries out here, this is one of the harder golf courses to post a score on.
It certainly has stood up to the best players in the world. Look at some of the notable events here at the Riviera Country Club. 1948 United States Open. I mentioned it played over 7,000 yards. Billy, we're going to play it at roughly 7,400 this week. It's just remarkable how this golf course continues to test the best.
Really does. And, you heard Tiger talk about the small targets. Well, the green size, they average 7,500 square feet in size, but no water on the golf course. Only 58 bunkers. But they are 58 well-placed bunkers.
You find one, you seem to find them all. And, of course, it's the second signature event of the 2026 season. So let's take a look at how our players in the field this week have fared in the signature events in which they have played. Interesting to see. 14 starts for Scotty, 5 wins, a couple for Rory. Hideki, though, a couple of signature wins for Hideki as well.
Hideki started the year off last year with a win, signature event, and then never had another top 10, which seems unrealistic to me. But Hideki, just the one win and no other top 10.
Especially the way he came out in Maui and set the course record and scoring record. But you look at Scotty Scheffler, he seemingly has won just about everything. He's won 15 of his last 40 starts. That's a 38% winning percentage every time he tees it up in those 40 events. He's also got a pretty strong track record around here, but he has not won at Riviera. And you take Tiger, you take Scotty and Rory, they are 0 for 27 around this golf course, Carl. So
that's wild.
That
is absolutely wild. I mean, it just goes to prove how difficult and technical that this golf course is. But you would think by saying that would give those three guys an even better chance of winning this tournament on this golf course. Rory talked about it a little bit last year after he won at Pebble Beach and how important it is to win at iconic venues. You can check the box right here for this one to be one of those.
And you can also add the name Nicklaus to your list.
Wow.
Not the win here.
who wants to start?
Well, this never gets old. Watching Scotty hit drivers, again, you see the alignment sticks. All these players, they make sure the alignment's good, the ball position is good. But when he gets ready to take the club back, you can see the extension address, and look at the width that he's able to carry the club head back. Club stays in front, gets deep into the right side, but look where the left shoulder is behind the golf ball. Look how deep it is. The left shoulder is pretty much in the middle of his stance, which is going to be 8 to 10 inches behind the golf ball.
I mean, that's well over 90 degrees of shoulder turn, but rarely see this, Billy. The club head that much higher than the hands at the top of your backswing. What that tells me is this angle, but there is so much smaller than everybody else's. There's hardly any wrist gap.
Yeah, and you can see the lower half, just how hard he works into that front leg. And then you spoke about it a little bit earlier about how you use the ground, and he's up, and then you often see that right foot slide just a little bit. And 2 years ago, I saw some data on him. He was the most accurate player to the center of the fairway of fairways hit of any player on tour.
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, you look at a guy like Steve Stricker and you watch him hit 70-yard wedge shots. The top of his swing looks like the top of Scotty's swing with a driver, where there's no wrist cock, there's zero lag, and he creates all of that power by using the ground, like you said. I think he unfairly gets, people don't like his golf swing because of his footwork. It's a fantastic golf swing.
And I would add that he's picked up at least an extra gear towards the end of last season and this season, going back to the American Express Championship earlier this season where he won. A little bit downwind, but on the 5th hole, the par 5 at the stadium course, 330 to cover the water down the left side. Took aerial photos of it. 371 yards he hit his drive. And there have been a couple of big ones that he's hit throughout the season. It just seems to me that he's picked up, when he needs it, 15 yards.
Yeah, I mean,
look at the ball pattern. That's all the way through the bag. There's about an 8-yard differential from the right to the left.
And he's one of the players that, when you talk to Randy Smith, when he goes home, there's just a lot of work on kind of dialing in the yardage. I mean, for a player that hits it as many times as he does, flag high, you just keep counting. It's flag high, it's flag high, it's flag high, it's flag high.
I'd like to see him go after every flagstick just one day.
Right.
Because he hits it right where he's looking every single time he hits it. He's just conservative with his lines.
We're going to catch up with Max Homa, ask you a question that we can also address with Max. But Scotty's one of the few players that takes his grip before he's over the ball, and then he doesn't change it, and he sets in. Would you recommend that to amateurs?
Sure. See, if you're struggling with your grip, I mean, Billy mentioned it earlier. He is meticulous about his grip being perfect every single time. What's the only part of your body that touches the golf club? Well, that's your hands. They better be the same on that handle as they are each and every day.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can accomplish that with the grip. There's some guys that use the alignment. They have in the grip, and they can kind of twist it to kind of mold their hand a little bit. And, there's ways of making it consistent, but you're going to have to really search hard to find someone that is more detailed with the grip than Scotty Scheffler.
An old legend that Ben Hogan used to take wire hangers, and he'd cut them, and he'd put them in his grips as reminders, is what we call them, modern day reminders. Okay, so Homa won here in 2021. He shot 66 on Sunday, 12 under for the tournament, and then he and Finau went to a playoff where Homa, you may remember, had a ridiculous up and down by one of the trees left of the 10th. But it's been some changes, and then going back to some old stuff like Mark Blackburn. Not that Mark's old, but his former coach.
I think this tournament comes at a perfect time for Max. I think he is very close to understanding what Mark wants him to do on the golf course, and he's starting to get comfortable with it. Now, Billy, you're coming back to a place where you've had a lot of success. That can really quicken up any kind of changes that you're looking at making.
Yeah, I mean, players are looking for that quick fix a lot of times. And you know, sometimes the process is a lot slower. And patience is hugely important when you're trying to get back to where you were. I love the fact that he's gone back to Mark Blackburn. It's always good to hear a familiar voice. They connected once. They were at a high level. They're going to do it again.
He's been very good with the putter at this event, at this golf course as well.
That's good right there.
That's pretty simple, isn't it?
That's really good right there.
So a man who's trying to reclaim some past form to a man in Chris Gotterup who has the form, arguably the hottest player on the planet, with the exception of maybe Scotty Scheffler, 3 times a winner now on tour is Gotterup. A homemade kind of golf swing, one that is trustworthy under pressure. He has seemingly all the shots. Chris Gotterup. Billy, it's a fun golf swing to watch, and the way he plays the game is very visual. It doesn't seem technical, it seems by feel, but it has been incredibly effective and efficient over the past 18 months.
I actually don't know of a player that plays with more shaft lean throughout the bag. You know, we talk about Jordan Spieth and the shaft lean he has when he's playing shots around the green. But Chris Gotterup pretty much does it through the whole bag. And I'm going to let you address, you know, how he aligns, you know, the feet and the shoulder.
Well, yeah, I mean, he plays very open in the lower half. The upper half is pretty square, but the lower half is well open, a la Freddie Couples kind of style left. I mean, it's way over there, and he kind of drops that club to the inside. And, you know, conversely to what we saw with Scotty Scheffler with, you know, no lag at the top of his swing, Chris Gotterup might have the most on tour. You know, the angle between his left forearm and the shaft at the top of his backswing it's absolutely incredible. But you can see there that ball is just coming out of a cannon.
Is he hitting down hard on it?
Oh,
or?
yeah.
So he's not necessarily rerouting the club, he's hitting down on it to make it go to the right?
Correct. And that
he keeps a pretty good amount of pressure on the shaft. You know, you'll hear guys talk about putting pressure on the shaft, put downward on the downswing, just kind of trying to keep that pressure, keeping that shaft going down. And that's what I think he does so well.
So how does he create height? How does he create high apex?
Speed and strength.
Yeah. Speed, I mean, whether it's a 3-wood, iron, whatever, that ball's going to run up the face, you know, on a descending blow.
And his wedge game has been talked about a lot, especially with the wins recently. And if he can get a little bit better with his wedges, he becomes now an elite player and one of the top 5 guys on the tour year in and year out. And that style of swing that he has is what causes his wedge game to be a little bit inconsistent.
Why?
Because he's just so steep on it. I mean, you're creating so much backspin, and anytime you do that, you maybe lose your trajectories a little bit. And when you lose your trajectories with wedges, you lose your distance.
Is it a matter of, when Tiger came out, when Rory started, they too struggled, in quotes, struggled with their wedge game. Is it a matter of really figuring out how to take spin off of it, or is it equipment? How does he make that change?
You have to figure out how to take the spin off. All these guys coming on the PGA Tour, they can spin the paint off the golf ball. They need to figure out how to take spin off. And that's what Tiger and Rory did. And, you know, when I look at a Gotterup, and I look at a Jake Knapp as well, you know, those guys that have that entry into the golf ball that is a little more steeper than a lot of players. Jake Knapp, he'll take a divot with a mini driver, just like Gotterup does with a 3-wood.
Entertaining.
In fact, Fleetwood will do it as well.
And this man can move it. He's got plenty of horsepower under the hood.
And I think just looking at him play, it really is refreshing because it is target, shot I want to hit, execute.
Well, you can just look at him and tell how much confidence he's rolling around with. He doesn't have anything down. He doesn't have a track man down there. He's just ripping some balls into the net, and a little heel cut right there.
At a $180.
At a $180.
$180.
And on the other end of the spectrum, we saw Jordan Spieth, who was really going through the gyrations with his coach, Cameron McCormick, of trying wrist angles and all the technical side. Let's see if Amelia can peel any secrets out of Jordan.
Thanks, guys. Jordan, you've spent a considerable amount of time on the range with your swing coach, Cameron McCormick. What have the two of you been working on?
Trying to carry the club a little bit, complete the end of the backswing essentially, and then trying to get it lined up a little bit more at or over the ball coming out of the top. So really just trying to get impact taken care of as I get out of the top of the swing, which at my best is what I did consistently. So I've had some really good stretches in the couple tournaments that we've gone, but then as the week's gone on, I've kind of tried to kind of hold on to it a little bit. So I try to push it pretty heavily this week so that it can sustain throughout the week, and we put in some good work over these 3 days.
How does that back and forth go based on what Cameron is seeing on video and what you're actually feeling in your swing?
Well, so, it's feel versus real, right? So he's talking about the positions and then what he thinks it should feel like to get there. And then obviously for us, we hit so many golf balls that if we're in a bad pattern, it oftentimes feels like we've got to go, 200-300, X one way just to move it a little bit. So it's more just like, oh, is that enough? Okay, I believe you, but kind of can you show me the patterning on how when I go off speed, how does it come out? It's just kind of, we almost speak a different language at this point, however, almost 20 years in. So, it's all fun. It's really healthy. back and forth right now. I feel like we have a good balance. I mean, ideally, I'm not looking at a ton of video, but sometimes getting that feel versus reel of what's actually happening helps, especially when I'm really tapping well into my feels. Then when he leaves and I'm playing tournament, I can be like, okay, I know that I wasn't patient on that one. It wasn't a swing problem. It was a timing. You know, just trying to really be able to react on the course and be able to make adjustments when necessary when he's not right behind me.
Thanks so much for the insight, Jordan. Good luck this week.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Like he talked about, trying to hold on through the weekend with those feels. A disappointing 72 on Sunday led to a T29 last week. Mixed bag for Jordan here at the Genesis Invitational, especially the last few times that he's played here at Riviera. But you never know, he's Jordan Spieth, and if he finds those feels, he's a former world #1. He knows how to get to the finish line, and you're looking for his 14th win in his first since the 21-22 season on the PGA Tour. So much more to come here from the Genesis Invitational on the range. Stick with us. Over the last 5 years that the tournament has been played here at Riviera, the 12th hole has been the most difficult. See if we can figure out how to play it. It's time for Improved Outcomes presented by ReliaQuest. Billy, this is a tough customer. Bad medicine to 12, 479 yards.
If you can just hit a gentle little cut off the tee, a little fade, somewhere around the 275, 300 mark, you're perfect. But then you have to deal with the green. But anytime you miss the fairway, it's a lot of work.
Now, anytime you have a hole that's this long and this hard, generally the balls that are in the fairway have a much lower scoring average, just 0.3 lower for hitting the fairway, and that's all due to this green, Ned. It's sort of like an upside-down cereal bowl. It just runs off in every direction. Very deep bunker. You mentioned just 58 bunkers
58
on
bunkers.
the golf course? This one should count as 10.
That one right there is no joke.
It is no joke. And then you can see all that runoff on that left-hand side. If you get a little frisky with that left-hand side, it'll go all the way down to the rough. It's just a brutally hard hole.
And it always seems the players say to play into the wind somehow.
Yeah, it's so hard to hit the fairway. I mean, when you start looking from 2002 till the start of this week, under 50%.
Let's go back down to Amelia Durant. She is alongside a man who's looking to get to the winner's circle here this week for the first time, Sam Burns.
Thanks, guys. Sam, top 10 finish at Pebble last week. What are you hoping to build on in your game coming into the Genesis?
Yeah, I think it was nice playing well last week. In some tough conditions on the weekend. So, I think coming into this week, kind of getting a feel for the golf course, it's certainly playing a little bit softer and longer than we typically see it. So just trying to get a feel for that and get ready to go tomorrow.
The 12th hole is playing as one of the most difficult it does year in, year out. You had a really good break in 2021 where your ball hit a tree and just stayed inside bounds. What is going to be your strategy to attack that 12th hole?
Yeah, I think it starts with hitting that fairway. It's a much easier hole if you hit the fairway. So I think it starts there, and then typically it's a fairly long hole, and it's a small green to hit a long iron into. So really just trying to get the ball in the right position on your second shot, and I think anyone this week would take playing that hole an even par and move along. So that's the goal.
What's the significance of playing a tournament hosted by Tiger Woods?
Yeah, I mean, for him to be here, means a lot to us as players, and for what he's done, for the game of golf in general. It's an understatement, to put it in words. So really, it's just it means a lot to us, and to be able to come and support his event and his passion for the game and the future of the game.
Thanks for the time. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Went on to finish third when he got that good break back in 2021. Champions in the field in terms of how they have handled the 12th hole. Hideki, Homa, and Adam Scott all 1 over par. Seems pretty good, actually.
Yeah, one over par is just fine.
It also goes to show you that if you're going to win 1 over par for the week at the 12th, not going to hurt you.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the week, players, they identify the holes that if they can play at even par for the week, they're going to be just fine. And the 12th certainly qualifies.
No question about it. Yeah. 2, 4, 12, 18. You play those holes even par, you're going to be doing
well, you might as well keep going.
There's more.
You only have 13 holes left.
There's more. Those are just the really, really hard ones.
Well, speaking of 18, they've tacked on yardage, is playing almost 500 yards, 499 yards now. Already one of the most difficult holes on the golf course. Nothing was difficult for Hideki when we last played here at the Riviera Country Club in the Genesis Invitational. It was a Sunday 62 in which he came from 6 shots behind. Just went flag hunting, and it worked out.
Yeah, this is such a difficult hole location, way to the right of that little valley that runs through the 15th green and almost dunks it for a 2. Completely different conditions.
Well, and he wasn't done. Just a few paces over to the tee at 16. Well, you heard someone say, be good. Well, indeed it was. Exactly the same result that he had back at 15.
We knew it was going to be a pretty good shot. He dropped the club. So 2 nice tap-ins coming down the stretch, though. At the par 5, 17th.
Well, good iron play. Nice touch.
Is there a better pitcher of the golf ball in the game right now than Hideki? Like fairway cut, pitching it onto the green?
You can make a strong case that right now he's the guy. And the data proves it.
What a record he has here. By the way, 4 top 10s, including 3 top 5s, and that win back in 2024. So the Japanese superstar, who's off to another terrific start, Billy, this season, where he almost had the victory. It was his until the 18th hole bogey down at the WM Phoenix Open, where he lost in a playoff. But he's playing some fantastic golf. Coming off of the West Coast, this is seemingly his time of year where he really gets the engines going.
Yeah, and that was unusual to see. Usually when he's there and he has a chance to win, he usually comes through. So it was a little surprising, and he just didn't drive it well. And he's got to drive it better, and he certainly is going to have to drive it better here.
Oh, without question. Yeah, you're being awfully generous with it by saying he didn't drive it well on Sunday at WM. It was downright pitiful for a guy that is as good as he is generally. But I will tell you this.
You got to give him kudos to even have a chance.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now, that round on Sunday at WM for Hideki Matsuyama was the most impressive round of golf that he's played so far in 2026. To shoot 68 from where he hit the ball off the tee, I'd have shot 95.
Magical. I mean, and that's what you see out of these world-class players. And Hideki, the grind. There's no way you can measure the grind of a player like a Matsuyama.
Normally has multiple drivers and shafts out. He's one of the big superstars that you're going to find in the field. And there are also some who are outside the ropes. Kevin Costner, the actor, producer, and Academy Award-winning director, out on the range with us. Our tracer technology is presented by TrackMan. The 100th anniversary of the Riviera Country Club. This beauty of a layout designed by George C. Thomas back in 1926. And the man who was responsible for one of arguably the great golf movies of all time, depends on where you stand, that's Kevin Costner, and of course I speak of Tin Cup.
Actually, pretty good motion right there.
Think about some of the sporting movies that he's been in. Yeah. Field of Dreams, Tin Cup. Oh, well, just when we put the mouth on him.
We'll file dump that one.
He's been a good friend to the game of golf over the years.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's a lot of upper body, but
Well,
as we age, Carl,
yeah.
that's kind of what happens.
That's what I was going to say. You can tell the posture's a little sloppy there, the roundedness of the back, and he's kind of got his hips back behind his shoulders there. But as we mentioned, he's 71 years old now, so tough to keep that body rocking and rolling through the shot. And that's what we see out of Kevin. Pretty good backswing. Obviously, would like to see a little bit more turn there, but it's in a good position right there. Good position just to pull that left shoulder back across the ball there, Billy, and come down. But as he comes into impact, you can see the hips stop turning and that club just takes over.
Yeah, you can kind of see him leave the hands and the arms back there and initiate everything with the upper body. You know, if you're strong in the upper body, and you know, you look at his shoulders, they're pretty wide, and how do you recruit power? So when you put it in that position, your brain says, I'm going to go forward, and you go forward with the upper body. And when you go forward with the upper body, you actually lose power.
Yeah. And then you have to jump, and that's why his legs were so straight and his hands were so high. It was a little bit of what Jason Day was talking about, what was happening to him last week. You get that handle high and your hips come towards the golf ball, and you're more in a stacked line instead of staying in posture through impact. But I got to tell you, I take that golf swing at 71.
He doesn't look like he's hitting any chili peppers.
Ooh. We're getting very, very definitive with our line right now.
Yeah.
That's better.
How about Bull Durham? Favorite Costner movie? I might have to go Bull Durham.
Oops. All right, we're going to let Mr. Costner figure it out. And let's let's get back over to Amelia Duran, who is with Chris Gotterup.
Thanks, Ned. Chris, when you were on the range, you had a couple of gadgets you were working with, a wrist aid and the inflatable ball between your forearms. What are those helping you with in your swing?
Yeah, the wrist one, I'm just trying to make sure my swing doesn't get too long and across the line. It kind of just keeps me in check a little bit. And then the ball is really just a connection thing and just trying to make sure I'm timed up properly and feel like I'm, like sometimes through the ball I feel like I get a little stuck and not compressing it as well as I'd like, and that kind of just maintains the angle that I like. So just a couple things to mess around with.
What are the importance of those kinds of aids to help you not think too technically about your swing and just allow you to use the motion?
Yeah, I think that's all it is. I think it's really just something mindless that I can put on and try to maintain my feels the best I can. Obviously, we're on a good stretch of golf here, and this is week 6 on the road for me. So just trying to maintain and keep up the form that I've had.
It's been a great stretch of golf, 2 wins already this season. You've talked about being in control of your mind.
Yeah.
Why now? Why are you able to be so mentally strong?
I don't know. I think it comes from, obviously results help that, and it's easy to say that when you're playing good. And but I do a lot of work off the course and with my team, and just trying to make sure everything's in a good spot, and so that I can go out there on Sundays and compete.
Thanks for the time, Chris. Good luck this week.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you.
Well, Billy, that's what you say. When you're playing well, you just keep playing.
Right. Well, right now, he's in maintenance mode. What's it?
Keegan Bradley, a runner-up here back in 2012, the Ryder Cup captain. He's been playing some nice golf over the last couple of seasons. 39 years young is Keegan Bradley, an 8-time winner on the PGA Tour, who is somehow, Billy Kratzert found the fountain of youth.
You can make a strong argument that he's playing some of the best golf of his career the last, I'm going to say, 24 months. And you never know when you're going to get that really good break in this game. And it took a poor finish by a Tom Kim at Memphis to allow Keegan Bradley to get into the BMW, to which he carried it over to a win. And basically from that point forward, he has been money. I mean, he's just been so reliable.
Well, reliability, that typically comes with cuts made, and last season, he only missed 2. He played in 21 events and made 19 cuts. Carl, that included 6 top 10s in the win at the Travelers Championship.
Yeah, and I think last year on the golf course was sort of a reprieve for him with all of the stuff that he was dealing with being the Ryder Cup captain. When he got inside the ropes, he could turn his mind off of that for a short period of time. Look, he was self-described as a psycho about making every detail perfect about the Ryder Cup. But when you get inside that ropes and you put a peg in the ground and you got a scorecard in your back pocket, you're thinking about the shots that you need to hit to play good golf. And he did that so well. Compartmentalizing what he was doing off the golf course and what he was doing on the golf course was incredible last year.
Yeah, and I think, for a tall player, there's a little more bend at the waist, especially for a guy that has long arms. But he came out to the tour with this DNA, and he has stuck with it. He's just improved it. Look at those divots all in a line. I mean, practice smart, then go out and play.
What's the expression? Long swing, long career. And he's maintained the flexibility and the length in this golf swing. And Scotty Vail, his caddy, his bag man, they've made a fantastic team since they hooked up about 4 seasons ago. And remember, Keegan, it was that same time when he and Scotty hooked up, he went on that extreme diet. He said over the weekends, especially late on Sunday when he felt like he was in contention, he started getting tired. And he lost almost 15 pounds. And it was more about the rededication to the game. He saw what was happening with the signature events, and he realized he needed to take action. So they put a plan together. So this isn't just, hey, I started playing good golf. This was absolutely your point of how he handled the Ryder Cup, a meticulous plan that had goals and barometers along the way.
No question. It would have been very easy for a guy like Keegan to just say, man, I had a really nice career out here. This game is passing me by. I don't want to put in the work that it takes to be good against these youngsters. And he said, no, we're not there yet, and I am not done. And it's been fun to watch.
And speaking of those youngsters,
yeah.
Ludvig Aberg, our defending champion.
Pretty simple motion. I get to see this guy hit balls down in Ponte Vedra. When he shows up, there's a lot of players at the back of the range that just kind of settle back down and just kind of lean on the club and take a look and see what Aberg is doing.
Billy, obviously his ceiling is as high as anybody's. When he's got his game, he can play with anybody in the world. How does a guy with that talent just raise the floor up a little bit so his bad golf isn't, is still very, very good?
I think you have to look at, the sustainability of when you don't have your best stuff, that you can go out there and still shoot even par, 1 under par, maybe 2 under. I think that's because he's self-admittedly said, my short game needs to improve. My chipping especially needs to improve. The bunker play. So he's put a lot of time in that. And then, of course, he had the knee injury, and so coming back from that seems to be good. But I think, all in all, I think the ball striking just has never been that far off. It's just a short game that I think if it gets better and kind of zeroes out and he's not losing shots to the field, then he takes it to that next level that you're talking about.
Yeah, it is a thing of beauty, Ned, to watch when he is on, too.
And Billy, to your point, last year on tour, sand save percentage under 50%, 45%. He was 134th on tour.
Not many players behind him at 134.
Two-time winner here at the Genesis Invitational. Adam Scott, we're going to watch him on the flip side. Evergreen and timeless, the golf swing of Adam Scott, who has twice visited Victory Lane here at Riviera. There's always an international feel and contingent to the tournament here. The last 4 winners have come from outside the United States, and the Australians, Billy, they have a terrific track record around this place.
They really do. And, you know, this man right here, for many, many years, we've watched this swing, and it's pretty much been the same. He still has great ball speed, 180. You start talking about players getting, you know, kind of near their 40s or into their 40s and the longevity of everything. You look at it, Adam Scott and Justin Rose. I mean, those two guys, they kind of are setting the bar right now.
Yeah, and that bar is massively high for guys in their 40s trying to keep up with guys in their 20s. I mean, look what Justin Rose is doing, traveling with a workout van and a recovery van, so to speak. I mean, Adam Scott has surfed his whole life. He's always been in great shape, and the swing hasn't changed much. But you're right. The work that these guys are putting in to stay competitive is pretty impressive.
Yeah, my recovery was always different.
They used to call sports psychologists bartenders back in that era, didn't they?
Oh, but you know, you look at the lines, you look at the posture, the bend at the waist, everything, the shoulders, the knees, perfectly stacked right over the balls of the feet. I mean, the balance. He could swing as hard as he wants to and look like he's swinging in balance.
Well, as always here, the Australian players are so good out of the bunkers because golf courses on which they grow up down in Australia. The same around here. The bunkers, you mentioned it, they're well placed, and especially on Sunday where they tuck the flags behind, say, 16, for example, 17. Such an important aspect if you're going to win here, the bunker game.
Yeah, the bunker game. And if you're a good iron player, I mean, you're going to have longevity on tour, but you're going to give yourself opportunity to win on a regular basis. Okay? You start looking at what Scotty does. Tiger may have been the best iron player I ever saw. So if you want a long career on the PGA Tour, be a good iron player.
Hit it long, hit it straight, make a lot of putts.
But it's a golf swing that combines power, perfect technique, rhythm.
He also comes in with a ton of experience, and this is a golf course that you don't learn very quickly. You mentioned it, guys getting better and better and better each year that they play it. He's already got all that experience.
Well, our time on the range coming to a close. It's been fascinating to look at the players and see who's working on their swing. And a player like Chris Gotterup, who just is trying to stay in maintenance mode. He has the feels. So, Billy, when we look ahead to the week, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know, you could directly go to the Scotty Schefflers, the Rory McIlroys, and all that, but you look at players that are playing well right now. And I'm going to kind of keep my eye on a guy named Jake Knapp. Ooh. I like the way that he's been playing. It's been very solid. And I think there's a little momentum carrying over. And I think Jake Knapp is in the perfect spot to play well this week and possibly win.
Carl?
Orange County kid, too. Grew up playing on these grasses, so he knows all about it. I'm going to go with a little bit of experience here. And look, he hasn't played his best golf the last couple of years, but coming back to a spot that he absolutely loves. I think he's on the verge of breaking out again. And look out for Max Homa this week.
Wow, okay. So you're not going with the chalk. You've got Homa and Jake Knapp. We're going to slide out to the range and watch a player who, well, a couple weeks ago we saw him with the swim floaties on his arms, and he always seems to be tinkering. Victor Hovland. Quickly, the weather. If we do get this rain, we mentioned earlier in the show, the golf course tends to yield to the long hitters. Look at now, we've got rubber bands out here. This is Padraig Harrington kind of stuff.
Oh, I was just about to say that. I said, other than Padraig Harrington, I can't think of another player that has all the gyrations that they go through trying to swing the golf club.
If we do get that weather and it does yield to long hitters, pin a couple of players for our audience to keep an eye on.
I'm going with Rory.
Gotterup.
Rory and Gotterup.
I mean, you start looking at soft golf courses, length, off the tee, strength. I'm going to go with the number 2 player.
And Jake Knapp, by the way, who you also selected. He's no slouch off the tee. He can move it. See if we can't listen in.
You got to go. That's hard to feel. Close to the shoulder. Yeah, so I didn't like that feel, but that's the javelin. The javelin throw.
How long do you think it takes him to come up with these gadgets? Oh, that's awesome.
He's a golfer. We're all golfers. We're always tinkering, trying to get better. You never know what you're going to see on the range on the PGA Tour.
You never know. I always contend that you lose 50 IQ points when you put your spikes on. Don't worry, guys. You'll get them back.
Well, you may not know what you can find on the practice area, but you do know what you can find this week on PGA Tour Live. The first round coverage begins at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, and then the Golf Channel will pick it up as well at 4 p.m. Eastern. The best players in the world, the second signature event, the final step on the West Coast swing. You're going to be tackling one of the icons, the old soul of the West Coast, and the Riviera Country Club, a place where if you win, put in your name next to some of the greats. Might it be the man who started the week on the range with bands and 19 different swing thoughts? Who knows? It's golf.
Well, one thing for sure at Riviera, players are going to be tested in pretty much every facet of the game, and it may get down to the putter.
It seems like Riviera wins each and every year that they play here. It's about who is going to survive Riviera.
I'm not sure Victor's going to survive this range session the way it's going on. But if we do get the weather, just like Sunday at Pebble last week, it will be must-watch golf television. Hope you have enjoyed our time on the range. Again, it has been fascinating to see how these players prepare on a Wednesday before one of the biggest events, one of the toughest golf courses on the PGA Tour. Carl and Billy, it's always nice to be with you all and hear what you have to say about the golf swing. I always walk away with something that I can take to make me a better player. And Amelia Duran, who is down on the range, thanks for all the interviews and all the information. And to our entire team, thank you for spending time with us on the range. We'll see you tomorrow from Riviera.